All right, everybody, let's wrap this up today. We're going to look at Laura McCullough's I'm Calling You, I Am Calling You, and Danusha Lameris' The Watch, the last two questions for our forums. Laura McCullough's I'm Calling You. This is another poem about family, about parents and children. What do you think the speaker means when she says, I'm ready to learn another language, a new syntax, if only you will speak so I can hear? So let's look closely at I'm Calling You. I'm calling you, right? The beginning of the poem, we get I'm calling you, there's a phone call. Is the poem? Is the poem another instance of a call, like I'm calling you, wanting to make contact, but still knowing I can't, but we just get the poem. So let's look at I'm calling you. In Czech, there is a word for getting around pain, to flash a signal. This prozvonit is what my mother and father did when I was young and he was away first in the Navy and later for work. Him calling home on the landline, which was then the only line, and hanging up. It meant he was safe. It meant I love you. It meant the world is not holding us apart at all, but is just between the dots. We are on the great grid. In the hospital, I buzzed my brother on the nights I slept home until the nurses said, males cannot stay, only the daughter. In the night, I huddled next to her, listening to the tides of her breath. Lost in a pool and drowning, a winged thing, unable to dry and lift itself. My mammal hands crude against her delicacy, crushing. Sometimes I wake in the night. Mother, are you there? Are you there? I'm ready to learn another language, a new syntax. If only you will speak so I can hear. How selfish this desire to apprehend. The beginning of the poem. I love the Czech word that to get around paying. Uh, the money's tight, right? Father's in the Navy. They didn't have money to talk long distance. This is when they could call long distance and talk. They didn't have the money. Uh, so the father would call and the family would know and hang up, and that would let them know he was safe, right? Call, let it ring, and that the family, that's dad calling, but we can't talk to him, but he's safe. Everything that's not said there, right? Just in the calling and the ringing of the phone, it makes me think we we text people and talk to people to death so much, right? Sometimes I think what's not said is even more important than the things that are said over and over and over and over. It meant I love you. It meant the world is not holding us apart at all, but is just between the dots we are on the great grid. And if we were in class, I'd ask anybody if you've used a payphone, and I used to do this with my mother, would take me to the park to play basketball and football and baseball with my friends when I was little, and for hours just drop us off and let us run. And when I was ready to come home, I would go to the library and I would dial the number on the payphone, and she's like, "Don't waste a quarter. Just call and hang it up, and I'll know when to pick you up." And then we get the noise, the sound of the phone, the ring, and then in the hospital, I buzzed my brother on the nights I slept home until the nurses said. So there's another call. So you get in the beginning the father, I'm calling you to let you know I'm safe, that I'm here, that I love you. And then in the hospital, the speaker is a daughter. I'm going to say it's the daughter. I'm calling the brother on the nights I slept home until the nurses say males cannot stay, only the daughter. Speaker's the daughter of the mother, right? And then we get, think of while my mother lies tethered to the bed, the Lynn Emanuel poem. We have another daughter next to a mother who is dying. In the night I huddled next to her, listening to the tides of her breath, the tides of her breath, the rising and the falling of her breath, lost in a pool and drowning, unable to dry and lift itself. The mother's dead, right? And then sometimes I wake in the night, Mother, are you there? Are you there? I'm ready to learn another language, a new syntax. Is the poem that? Is this the new language, the new syntax? If only you will speak so I can hear. Think of James Tate in The Lost Pilot. If I could cajole you to come down from your spiraling orbiting. And at the end of this poem, I love the gaps. You have the white space, which we haven't spent a lot of time talking about. Form, structure, design, the poem, but the physical space, and you have the white space here, the gaps. How selfish this desire to apprehend. Is it selfish? I'm ready to learn another language, a new syntax, if only you will speak so I can hear. How selfish this desire to apprehend, to want to know the meanings, to want to know. Are you there, Mother? I'm ready to learn another language. I am calling you. Is the poem a call to the mother? What is it a call to the past selves? And we have the in-between space, the liminal space, the paradox. What's a paradox? Two opposing things, right? I'm calling you, wanting to make this call, wanting to reach out, all at the same time knowing how selfish it is, this desire to apprehend. If I could cajole you to come down, if I could have you just for an evening, I wouldn't turn you into Lost Pilot, right? I want you all to myself. How selfish this desire. So you have the intricate play of the family here. It seems like a very loving family, which if you're writing about our text, you could juxtapose this, right, with some of the other families. I am calling you. We got the father, the mother. In the beginning, my mother and father, he was calling from the Navy and hanging up. The poem is broken up in this, you could break it up into sections, right? Calling. Think of time here. And the time of the poem, the different time periods of play, the time being played with is a perfect segue into our last poem for today, which we covered a hell of a lot of poems, and I'm tired. No, not really. But Danusha Lameris is The Watch. And I wanted to end on this poem because we've read a lot of tear jerkers and heartbreakers and brutal poems, tours, C.D. writes tours, Toy Derricott's Boy at Patterson Falls. And this is a love poem, but there's some dark moments in it. But I want to look at this love poem, The Watch. And in our question, what do you think the speaker means by accoutrements of manhood? We'll look at that. Also, what do you think the speaker means by the intricate achievements of marriage, its many negotiations and nameless triumphs? How is time represented in the poem? Think of the title, What is a Watch? You know, I wear a watch. I'm not wearing it now. Keep time. We look at the watch to keep time. Are any of you clock watchers? When you're at work or in class, are you watching the clock, hoping time goes fast? On the back of our Oil and Steel, the Henri Cole poem, there was another poem by Cole Swenson, which we didn't get to, but there was a line in that poem that I love that says, time passes differently in different rooms. Also, the watch. What does it mean to watch? To watch somebody, to observe. And I have a final question. Is the poet a surgeon of time? Writers in general are constantly play with time and deal with time. Let's look at the watch. This is told from the point of view of a wife. I think how old are they? Not that old. 30s maybe? I don't know, depending on when they got married. They're not old, but they're not. Let's look at the watch. At night, my husband takes it off, puts it on the dresser beside his wallet and keys, laying down for a moment the accoutrements of manhood. Sometimes when he's not looking, I pick it up, Savor the weight, the dark face, ticked with silver, the brown ostrich leather band with its little goosebumps raised as the flesh is raised in pleasure. He had wanted a watch and was pleased when I gave it to him. And since we've been together 10 years, it seemed like the occasion for the gift of a watch, a recognition of the intricate achievements of marriage, its many negotiations and nameless triumphs. But tonight, when I saw it lying there among his crumpled receipts and scattered pennies, I thought of my brother's wife coming home from the coroner, carrying his rings, his watch in a clear Ziploc bag, and how we sat at the table and emptied them into our palms, their slight pressure all that remained of him. How odd the way a watch keeps going even after the heart has stopped. My grandfather was a watchmaker and spent his life in Holland, leaning over a clean, well-lit table, a surgeon of time, attending to the inner workings, spring, escapement, balance wheel. I can't take it back. The way the man I love is already disappearing into this mechanism of metal and hide, this accountant of ours that holds with such precise indifference all the minutes of his life. The wife, the speaker of the poem, is, watching. Look, watching at night. My husband takes off the watch, puts it on the dresser beside his wallet and keys, laying down for a moment the accoutrements of manhood. What are the accoutrements of manhood? Well, think when we get home from work, get home from school, take off our watch, shut it down. Keys, the phone, all the junk in our pockets. We're like, done for the day, taking off our accoutrements of whomever we are. That's the first 3 lines. And I love these next lines. Sometimes when he's not looking, when he's not watching, I pick it up, savor the weight, the dark face ticked with silver, the brown ostrich leather band, think of the details here, with its little goosebumps raised as the flesh is raised in pleasure. So when the husband, who the hell knows what he's doing, but the wife picks up his watch, and she's just looking at it. And I'm sure if she wanted to, she could ask him, "Can I look at your watch?" She'd be like, "Yeah, sure." But when he's not looking, she picks it up and she's thinking about the watch, thinking about time. And I love this one line here. He had wanted a watch and was pleased when I gave it to him. This is, of all the shitty poems and relationships and things we've read that are brutal, this husband and wife, she loves her husband. This seems like a good relationship here, right? And since we've been together 10 years, they've been married 10 years, it seemed like the occasion for the gift of a watch, a recognition of the intricate achievements of marriage, its many negotiations and nameless triumphs. And if we were in class, I would ask folks if you've been, what's it like when you've been with someone what's a long relationship? A year? I don't know. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. When you're with someone 3, 4 years, there's ups and downs, right? Many negotiations and nameless triumphs. They're nameless. We don't have to name them. Think of a 10-year relationship, a 10-year marriage, all the little things. And it's like, it's something to still be together. It's the occasion of a gift for the recognition of this. This is an achievement, right? It's an achievement. But then you can draw a line. Take a pencil and draw a line. Here's a turn. So we have their relationship here. And this middle part of this poem, I would say, has 3 parts. First part, what we just read, the wife watching her husband's watch and thinking about them and thinking about their relationship. The second part, the watch reminding the wife, the speaker, of her brother dying, but it's not her thinking about her brother, it's her thinking about her husband. And then the third part, the grandfather, and then it wraps back with the husband. But tonight, when I saw it lying there among his crumpled receipts and scattered pennies, I thought of my brother's wife coming home from the coroner carrying his rings, his watch in a clear Ziploc bag, all the accoutrements of manhood. That's what we have here, right? When you die, here are your remains, your effects, keys, your ring, your phone, his watch in a clear Ziploc bag, and how we sat at the table and emptied them into our palms. This is a life. This is a person's life. There's slight pressure, all that remained to him. How odd the way a watch keeps going even after the heart is stopped. Now the speaker, the wife, thinks about, my grandfather was a watchmaker. I love that term, beautiful term. And spent his life in Holland leaning over a clean, well-lit table. A surgeon of time, putting the watches together, surgeon of time. Think of the question, is a poet a surgeon of time? Comagnac facing it, surgeon of time. I see the booby traps, white flash, my friend Andrew Johnson. James Tate, the lost pilot, surgeon of time. Think of all the time that's been playing now. Craig Morgan t-shirt about his daughter. We're walking on the beach. The next moment, he turns around, she's grown up and gone. Surgeon of time, trying to deal with time. I can't take it back. The way the man I love is already disappearing into this mechanism of metal and hide. This accountant of ours, the watch, as an accountant of ours, that holds with such precise indifference all the minutes of his life. Rigoberto Gonzalez's casa, the house that holds with indifference all of our lives. And the wife here, it's one of those things, right, where you get to a point, not, I don't know if it's a point, you get older maybe, and you're happy, and you're in a great loving relationship where you're happy with the person, but then you're like, damn, something happens and this isn't going to be forever. Something might happen to this person, or the person, something might happen, right? And they may be gone, and the watch is counting the time, and she's keeping watch over him, and I can't take it back. I can't take these thoughts and feelings back. The man is disappearing into time. That fading away, these moments of happiness won't last. But we have it now, and we get this. It's a loving poem, and the beginning, her attention to detail, holding the watch. He had wanted a watch and was pleased when I gave it to him. I love those moments of the poem. Think about the watch, time, what we're watching over, what we're doing. All right, more poems to come.